Hi, this is Peggy Winter, and I'm making this video to help you with your three-year plan, whether you have not made one or you're just looking at some of the changes that we've made in the template. So this is the number one document that I always refer parents or school board members to when they have a question about whether or not a child has been tested for gifted education, because this is the document that your district is revolving all of your decisions around concerning how you identify, how you assess, what kinds of program you're going to have. So it's a very important document. So a few other things that I've changed are in red here, but if you are on track with your three-year plan, most districts will be submitting a new plan this October 15, 2016, so this fall. So it gives you the summer to look at what you have and what you need to revise. So part A, philosophy and statement, this is very, very important. Everything that you write after this is centered around your philosophy. What is your district's philosophy? How is your district unique? And how do you identify children according to the resources and needs that your district has? So there are several questions you can see here relating to your school district's mission, your values, your core central way that you look at gifted education. And that's how they vary from the general population to down to the last two, which are fairly new. And these are I've added because they really do relate to Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. For example, D, are you looking at gifted students who would not normally be identified, such as those who do not have English as a first language, some that are low income, and twice exceptional students? Often there might be a student who is bored, even acting up, and go to the special ed classroom and test that child, and guess what? They have a very high IQ, or they have a lot of gifts or talents in another area. And also this last one, how does your three-year plan address the ESSA requirements for a well-rounded education? In other words, there are 5 areas of giftedness that Idaho has accepted along with the National Association of Gifted Teachers. And does your three-year plan include areas other than reading, math, and writing? So here again are the 5 areas, and most districts are pretty good at covering the intellectual areas and the academic areas because those can be tested fairly easily with IQ tests or measurements. But then when you get down to these last 3, creativity, leadership, and the performing arts, those are a little bit more difficult for some districts to identify and to serve, so more often than not they're ignored. But this year, with extra money and dollars being given toward identification, I'm hoping that these 3 areas are going to be coming into their own as far as being identified. So again, program goals, that relates directly back to your mission and vision as a district, but I've added a few ways that we're going to look this year at the next 3 years. And some of you have already commented on how 3-year-old your last 3-year plan seems, because the language on it was very centered on Common Core and some of the other things that we're not focused on right now. But these new 2 questions, in what ways will improved instruction and gifted education relate to best practice for district personnel? That means all personnel, and professional development dollars do not necessarily have to go towards someone who is getting their GT endorsement. These are good practice for all education personnel in your district, and they can relate to actually finding and identifying some students in the classroom who are gifted. And then how are you also addressing professional development needs relating to identification? So these are the two questions around which our new funding revolves. So I thought that they should be included in your program goals. So we have options. Now this is a very short part of the template, but it's a very difficult part for you to fill in. Some of you have many options under elementary. You're doing pull-out, you're doing self-contained classrooms, you're doing workshops that are part-time, and so elementary seems to have quite a few options. Junior high, middle school, maybe that is a little bit thinner, but as we read in our statute, we are really obliged by Idaho statute to serve the needs of gifted children from ages 5 to 18. And so the junior high and especially high school students, I'm hoping to see something more than we put them in an honors class, or they're taking AP, they're taking dual enrollment credits. They may be taking AP, they may be taking dual enrollment, but how are they being monitored? How are their social emotional needs being met? Who is meeting with them? Is a counselor helping them cope with all of the struggles that they have as middle school and high school students? And then identification procedures. And here again, I just put in red a reminder that Idaho code requires that districts use more than one means of identification for gifted education. So what are the processes that you use for screening? And here are some ideas that you may have in your school. Teacher referral, parent referral, and sometimes even student referral. When the student keeps saying, I already know this, or I'm really bored with school, then have a checklist ready for them to fill out. And if they can fill it out really more than adequately, maybe that's a referral you should look at. And so informal checklists, Renzulli checklists, Torrance checklists, these areas that look specifically at creativity, leadership, and arts, and will not necessarily have an IQ of 130 and above required. So are you looking at visual spatial learners who may be very talented and gifted in certain areas, but they're not going to have meet the same guidelines as the academic students on the IQ tests? And so you can write how you have established as a district your eligibility and criteria for placement in gifted programs. And I know that some of the larger districts actually have students on a waiting list because they need more resources. And this is just, we need to hear about this because this is evidence that we need more funding for gifted education. And then how is your program evaluated on a regular basis? This doesn't say when you evaluate your program, but you should have some kind of tracking. And we've been talking about actually keeping students tracked all the way through high school to find out how they are doing. Are they going to college? Are they dropping out of high school, indeed getting bored and not finding enough challenge? So are you finding how your program, the students that you've identified, how they're doing? And then I put, instead of putting areas that we had before to rank as having the most need, I just am asking that you provide a paragraph to discuss your district's most pressing needs concerning gifted education, especially in the areas of professional development and identification of students. Now, you're going to go beyond that, but for right now, we are funded to help these areas, and then you can go beyond that and say what would be the next step that you would need. Obviously, you're going to need programming materials. You're going to need more people to instruct these students once they are identified. So year one could be what we're going to do in professional development and how we're going to help all of our teachers recognize gifted students. But then maybe after you've identified and you've had some professional development, there will be a year 2.5, year 3, where you want to go beyond what we're asking at this point. If you have any questions about your plan, and if you would like to have me send you someone else's plan, these are public records and I can send the documents on to you. And I actually am planning to post on my website. And let me just review, since we have a new website. If you just go to Google, to the Idaho State Department of Education, we have a little bit new setup. We are now departments. You kind of need to click on the word department, and then you can click on academic service and support, and this is where gifted education lives. And here you will see gifted and talented. You will see code that defines all of the definitions around exceptional children, which means not only children with disabilities, but children with very high abilities. And I would think that in the future, we're going to have children who are twice exceptional in our definitions. And then if you go down here under program information, the newest House Bill 620 that talks about the money and how the money can be used, and especially if you go down to the very end, sections 12 and 13 down here, this is the money that is specifically appropriated for gifted education. Thank you, and as I said, call me. I will be posting as these come in. I will be posting them on the website, and if I have a plan that was posted this year that was given to me, I'm going to start beginning a spreadsheet, and I will have when the plan was put up. Some districts don't want to have their 3-year-old plans posted right now on the internet, and I can certainly see that, but we can get these up soon. So thank you for all your hard work, and let's continue to see that the needs of gifted students in Idaho are met and get our plans all together. And you may email me, pjwenner, WENNER, at sde.idaho.gov, and I will answer any questions that I can. Thank you.